third position for him in the Thai Grand Prix Race 2. He was the Race 1 winner in the Malaysian Grand Prix, and second position here yesterday for Carter Thompson. So he knows about getting up onto the podium, and he too is hoping to make progress. He is fifth in the championship. Fair margin though for him to the riders in front, so probably fifth that he will end this 2022 campaign. New personal best lap last time around from Veda Pratama. Don't think he's going to break away from Hakim Danish too easily. Still only 1.5 tenths of a second between the two of them, and this is where the closest action is, and the most position changes as well. Once again goes to the podium battle.
Yeah, and once again, as we've seen so many times in the past, the ATC, whenever you're battling, you're costing each other time. It's 9 tenths of a second they lost to the race leaders last time around, so 6 seconds in hand for Hakim Danish. He just needs to cruise the final quarter of this race, and no need to latch onto the back of Pratama and try and win the championship with a race victory.
But when you look further back, third position down, a tenth of a second, a tenth of a second, a tenth of a second, a tenth of a second. The gap between each of the riders from third place is down to 8th. Then it's Wakamatsu and Gunmie. So still those places at very least can easily change. 2 seconds from 3rd to 13th, as it was just a few short laps ago. As far as the championship is concerned, well, Shinya Ezawa in 4th position, Hakim Danish in 2nd. So it would be a more flattering lead than certainly it's looked since the Race 1 retirement for Danish. Remember, he crashed out of Race 1 in Sepang from the lead, so it could have been even more of a points lead, or the championship could even have been settled up by now. But Danish still looking good to claim it on the final day of the campaign.
Yeah, Danish has been very impressive all the way through the season, whether it's in the ATC or the ETC, and he's been able to pick up a couple of podiums in Europe as well in the junior GP paddock. So this has been a very complete season for him across the board, but now he just needs to make sure he can complete the race and get to claim this ATC title.
Yes, he has managed to lead the championship all the way since March, has Hakim Danish. Despite that retirement from Race 1 in Sepang, he extended his lead over the 2 most recent races. And Danish, who, as I say, first led the championship back in March, is looking good to claim it here this afternoon as well. They're 3 abreast now, back in towards turn number 1 for 3rd position, and Adaki back into that 3rd spot. He was a race winner towards the start of this season, was Amon Adaki. Race 2 winner in the Qatar Grand Prix the first weekend of March. Just hasn't quite been able to sustain his challenge since then. A couple of non-scores that have proven too costly for him.
Yeah, and that's been the big thing. It's about consistency in the ATC, to be able to come away with a title. Hakim Danish being able to do that with a lot of race wins, 4 race wins, and an extra couple of podiums as well. So that's why he's been so consistent all the way through. But you have to say, for his championship rival Ezawa, it's been impressive to see him up inside the top 6 positions in every race as well. He's always been in that leading group, and it's just not going to quite come together for him here today.
It's going to be good that we've had 5 different winners from the 6 rounds in 2022. We've had a good variety of riders up on the podium as well. Perhaps as you'd expect in these youth classes, one weekend to another, the pecking order can rather change. But there's been little doubt about the man who's been dominant this weekend in Indonesia, and that's Veda Pratama, and he is still your race leader.
And that's why he's going to be a rider worth keeping an eye on for the next few years. Obviously, the minimum age limits have been rising in recent years for different classes of bikes, so he's going to be on Talent Cup bikes for the next while, but certainly you wouldn't be too surprised to see him racing in Europe as well next season, and see what he's able to fare over there.
Daki, Mie, Thompson and Ezawa in that order. It is Gunmie now trying to make progress as they come through turn 16. Mie managed to jab it down the inside of fellow countryman Adaki to come through for 3rd place. Adaki then relegated down to 5th. Carter Thompson now has slotted through as well. Adaki will recover as they come back towards turn number 1 at lap 14, so 3 now to go. The countdown really begins for Hakim Danish. He is half a second now down on Veda Pratama. Does rather look, for the moment at least, as though he's settling in for 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, half a second behind, but 9 seconds in hand over his championship rival, so it's certainly no reason to be pushing too hard now in the closing stages. Just enjoy the last 3 laps.
I said it at the top of the programme, the calculations were as complicated or as straightforward as you wanted to make them, but for Hakim Danish, a top 2 finish was going to be enough, even if it was his title rival, or even if it were his title rival Shinya Ezawa in front of him at the flag. And as the case is, it's Veda Pratama. The other simple calculation for Hakim Danish was beat Ezawa and you're the champion. So at the moment, he's doing the top 2 that he needs. He's beating the man that he needs to. And this looks comfortably good enough as the rest of the field will scrap intensely now for 3rd position. And look at that big group still with only 3 laps to go.
Yeah, and all the scrapping's causing this pace to drop off down into the 1 minute 45, so about 2 seconds a lap slower than it can be just because you're battling like this and fighting with each other tooth and nail trying to get to the front of the group. But with 2 laps to go when they come across the line, that's what you got to do. You're fighting for a podium in the ATC.
Well, that's it. The reality is for most of those riders, they don't really care about the championship standings. They don't care who's champion of the Asia Talent Cup. They're just thinking about whether they can get 3rd position this afternoon and walk away with their head held high in the final race of the 2022 season. Shinya Ezawa will desperately try to break away, but as far as the championship is concerned, it's only a mistake now from Hakim Danish that could change things at the head of the field. Lap 14 and a new fastest lap of the race from Veda Pratama, 1 minute 42.765. He's gapped Hakim Danish now by over a second, 1.4 seconds last time over the line with 2 to go. So Danish is now settling in for 2nd place. With a gap to this fight, Adaki Thompson and Ezawa lunging into turn 1. The result of that is that they're 10 seconds still behind Danish.
Yeah, and Kembali was the rider that was the odd one out in the run through turn 1. He was the one that got pushed out wide there, so he moves from the front of this group all the way to the back.
And that, I'm afraid, is bad news around this circuit, because if you are pushed offline, you don't just lose 1 position. The grip levels are far higher on that rubbered-in racing line. It's one of the most dramatic racing lines that you'll see. It's almost like a flat track groove at this stage. The riders have got to stick on it, otherwise they're going to lose time massively. Pratama then escaping away, 1.8 seconds ahead of Danish at the head of the field. Danish has used Pratama for what he needed him for, which was to get clear of this battle for 3rd position. Much as Ezawa may go on to claim 3rd place, that will not be enough. He needed to beat Hakim Danish here to claim the Asia Talent Cup for 2022.
Yeah, as it is, though, he wants to end the season with that podium as well. And for all the other riders in this group, especially the likes of Carter Thompson on the number 6 machine, he's been very strong in the second half of the year. He also wants that final race podium, but there's a few riders in that group as well chasing their first podiums this season.
Thompson in the mix as well, and just eyeing up an opportunity to get through here on Shinya Ezawa. Watch for Odaki, who's been able to repeatedly come through to the front of this group. Just over a lap now to go.
Watch for the number 19 Hafi as well, because he's been the rider that's slowly and surely picked off one after the other to get himself up into 6th position, and it looks like he's maybe picked up another spot as well there from the timing tower on the left hand side of the screen.
Yes, Farish Hafi, who had the best results thus far. This is his debut Asia Talent Cup season of 6th position. That was race 1 of round 1, all the way back in March for 6th position. Then Hafi, I should say, he's up in 5th position and scrapping with Ezawa, and has actually got through by the looks of things for 4th position. We saw them there picked up, making their way through the first sector. Pratama now has a 3-second lead, so this is the kind of dominant pace we've seen for him. Quite happy to run his own race on his own at the front of the field. He's led more laps than anyone else in the Asia Talent Cup in 2022, and he's adding some more here this afternoon.
Yeah, very impressive campaign from Pratama, but it's all about this scrap there for the final step in the podium. And certainly for the likes of Carter Thompson, he's always wanted to be at the top of that group through the course of this race, but is that the place you want to be now with a half lap to go?
Hakim Danish, who has been the dominant force in this championship. He's had more wins, he's had more podiums than anyone else this season. He has been the man to beat. He's not this weekend. That's Veda Pratama, who's going to do the double, but Hakim Danish, 3.8 seconds now behind the race leader, has got far too much in hand for Ezawa to even dream of making it up. It's over 10 seconds, that gap to 3rd position. Pratama, your race leader. Gunmi is still down in 8th place, so he still has the opportunity to make up those extra positions and the extra 6 points to claim 3rd overall. But it is going to be Veda Pratama who exits the final turn to make it back-to-back victories and dominate his home round, the Indonesian round, the last of the season. And Hakim Danish crosses the line in the 2nd place that he needs in the final race of the season. It's gone down to the wire, but your 2022 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup winner is Hakim Danish. Shinya Ezawa gets the final step on the podium, and some pride to end the season on a relative high for him, but he'll have been disappointed to miss out directly behind Danish. It was 3rd and 4th for the two of them yesterday in race 1. It's 2nd and 3rd this afternoon, and on both occasions it's Ezawa who's missed out.
And it's a unfortunate nature for Ezawa. There has to be a winner, there has to be a loser, and for Ezawa in this final round of the year, he just hasn't quite been able to do the job that Hakim Danish has done, and Danish, a very well deserving ATC winner for 2022, and nice to see a Malaysian win the ATC for the first time as well.
Good work from Ezawa, you must say, though, as well, to hold on for that third position. A second covering positions 3 to 9, so anyone could have finished on the final step of the podium. It's not a coincidence that it's the rider who finds himself so high in the championship as to finish second.
Yeah, it's been a really strong campaign all the way through from Ezawa. He's been really consistent inside the top 6 all the way through the season, most of that time on the podium as well. So it has been a really good campaign for him, and just like Hakim Dinesh and Pratama, there'll be riders worth keeping an eye on going forward.
And I wonder whether when that T-shirt was measured, it was measured to go over the top of leathers, because we're about to find out they had trouble getting the T-shirts on for the first time. It is the celebratory one as far as Veda Pratama is concerned. He is your race 2 winner. But Hakim Dinesh for the Asia Talent Cup in 2022. Eventually the T-shirt just about, no, still not. Just go around in your lap of honour with the flag. That's good enough. I think the title is well and truly wrapped up by this stage, and everyone knows it.
The problem as well is all these ATC riders, they grow quite a lot at this age as well. So for Hakim Dinesh, it's been such a good season all the way through. He's had podiums in the ETC as well, and now this ATC success as well. But it has been a season where he's shown himself to be the rider with the best racecraft in the ATC, and a real cool head when he's had to have it.
This is what I absolutely love about the Asia Talent Cup. Out here, they're as passionate about this category as they are about any other in the world, and they were more enthusiastic about getting a photo with their home hero and race 2 winner this afternoon, Veda Pratama, than perhaps they have about some of the other action. But certainly delighted to see that Veda Pratama and the Indonesian national anthem will be heard once again.
Yeah, and it's been a really good weekend for Pratama. You can see there for Ezawa, just celebrating in his cool-down lap as well at the end of a long season, and a good season as well. He's been able to come away second in the championship standings, and it's been a strong, consistent campaign for him. Just didn't quite have enough to be able to take that title from Hakim Dinesh.
Yeah, started the season so strongly. He was our opening race winner of the season at the Qatar Grand Prix. Had podiums here in Mandalika back-to-back as well in the latter stages of March. Came back after the summer break and won the first race back in Motegi. Of course, one of the two we lost due to the weather conditions at the Japanese Grand Prix. But it's since then that Hakim Dinesh has really stamped his authority on the title race. Up to that stage, after Motegi, it was 2 wins apiece for the two of them. Dinesh has come back, won race 1 in Buriram, won race 2 in Sepang, and then has done the job this weekend with a third and a second. So finishes the season with those 3 consecutive podiums, and that's enough as far as Hakim Dinesh is concerned to bring it home.
Yeah, it really is, and it's been impressive all the way through. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens for Dinesh going forward, whether or not he'll move on to a Moto3 style bike next year in the Junior GP paddock, or whether or not he'll keep in the European Talent Cup. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out for him. Obviously, the ATC, we've seen over the years some top riders coming through here and being our champions at the end of a season, whether you're looking at the likes of our inaugural champion Samkat Chantra, or Dennis Onju, of course, champion a few years ago, and now a regular front runner and potential race winner in the Moto3 World Championship. Ayagor has come through the ranks here. He challenged for a Moto2 World Championship. Just what does the future hold for Hakim Dinesh as well?
Yes, the 8th title holder in the Asia Talent Cup is Hakim Dinesh. Just making his way round now to complete his lap of honour. He is, unsurprisingly, the last rider back to the paddock and milking it somewhat, as is his right after claiming the Asia Talent Cup here this afternoon. Penultimate rider back is Veda Pratama, your race winner, and a popular race winner, as I've said, at that.
Yeah, it certainly is, and here in front of a home crowd, it's a good chance for the Indonesians to cheer on one of their own.
What about that for a way to end the season as well? Second place and a win in the Thai Grand Prix, second place from race 2 in Sepang, and then back-to-back victories this weekend in Mandalika. So very, very strong finish indeed as far as Veda Pratama is concerned.
Yeah, youngest rider in the field, but your clear favourite for next year's title as well, and it's up to him to carry that forward into the 2023 season.
Yes, and there's already an extent to which everyone's looking ahead to that 2023 campaign because as far as next season is concerned, selection event already took place in Malaysia, so 9 riders confirmed to be added to the field. as well as a series of reserves depending on whether there's anyone who's eligible who elects not to participate for next season. So the backup is ready for the turnover should it be required, but for the moment at least the focus is on this young man, Hakim Dinish, and he is your Age Talent Cup winner for 2022.
See Hafiz Sarian in the background as well down there to celebrate the success of another Malaysian rider.
So we see Hakim Dinish then claiming the Age Talent Cup title with second position in race 2 this afternoon. Shinya Ezawa behind him, which was the key, but as far as strategy for that race was concerned, it was get onto the tail of Veda Pratama. Smart race. That was won by the brain. That one by Hakim Dinish.
Yeah, it was in the very early stages where Dinish made a decision not to attack for the race win with Pratama, making sure that they were able to work together and try and open up a gap. And that gap stretched out to 15 seconds at the flag to everyone else. So it is a case of just being as smart as you have to be in the ATC, because these are races where it comes down to your tactics as much as your speed.
Dinish showing that maturity again in the final few laps when the championship became the bigger priority than the race win. He didn't go hell for leather trying to chase down Pratama. There was a stage there before he began to back off the pace where he could easily have made a lunge down the inside of Pratama, but probably felt he didn't want Pratama coming back at him because that would have been the bigger risk to the Asia Talent Cup title than just sitting in second place that made it comfortable.
Yeah, nothing to gain by attacking on the last lap just for a race victory, but on that last lap as well, it's worth noting that Pratama was only 10th of a second off the race record as well, so he was really putting on at the closing stage of this race, so impressive stuff from him.
Yes, Veda Pratama, your race winner, 1 minute 42.9 on the final lap around when everyone else was running in the 44s at best. And Hakim Dinish among those riders, 4.4 seconds down on Veda Pratama in the end, rather settling in for the second place that he needed in order to confirm the Asia Talent Cup title. So good to see so much passion and excitement for this class.
Yeah, it looks like there's a fan club there for Hakim in the background as well, so that's good to see here in the paddock as well, and good atmosphere to close out the ATC season.
Fair few signatures on that. You can get nice and close to the action down by being in the paddock for the Superbike World Championship. We're very fortunate spectators here to have great access to the podium celebrations, and they'll be on hand to watch Pratama, Dinish and Ezawa, and then of course to see the trophy presentation for Dinish as well, confirmed as the Asia Talent Cup winner for 2022. And all of these riders will think about where they go on to next, but what a great group we have. Third position down to 12th place. Poor old Adaki in the end ends up at the back of that group after fighting his way through, drops back down to 12th place, and that just goes to show you how many evenly matched riders there are just behind that lead trio who have been a cut above the rest in 2022.
Yeah, and I saw in the closing stage as well, Hafiz still able to come away with that top 5 finish, career best effort from him, and a really good recovery ride considering he was all the way at the back of that group for much of the race.
Yes, and a good ride for Raykat Fadilla as well, between Ezawa and Hafi. For Fadilla, he was a podium finisher race 1 in Mandalika earlier on in the season, so obviously a venue that the local rider clearly enjoys. He is Indonesian, Raykat Fadilla. So 2 of the top 4 positions are home representatives, but most importantly of all, it's the rider on the top step of the podium again who represents Indonesia, and the locals here passionate about their riders. A nice strong attendance this weekend of over 50,000 quoted for the Indonesian round, so Veda Pratama is certainly going to receive some great support here.
Yeah, and he did yesterday as well, with the anthem being blared out by everyone singing it with pride, and certainly for Pratama it's going to be a weekend to remember for a long time going forward, but the season comes to a close, and it couldn't have come to a close in a better way. Double success here at his home round.
Just waiting for the podium trio now to emerge. Shinya Ezawa, Hakim Dinish and Veda Pratama, your top 3, and big margins between them in the end, but not to the group behind. Quoted it previously, 14.9 seconds the gap between first and third places, and Fetasan in 9th position, only a second behind third at the checkered flag.
Yeah, a second and a half took Ezawa all the way down to 12th potentially, so that just shows you how close it can be. When all these bikes being so identical, it does come down to the riders to make the difference, figure out their tactics through the course of the race. The fronts of the field, Pratama and Dinish figured out their tactics a little bit earlier than everyone else, They were able to work really well together.
Quick word on Gunmie as well. Misses out on a place on the championship rostrum in the end. Came into this weekend third in the standings, still with mathematical hopes of the title itself. Dropped out of the running yesterday in 5th position, only 8th place here today. And that means that with Veda Pratama up at the head of the field, he nicks 3rd position overall. But Gunmie deserves his credit for his part in this championship as well. He's had 3 second places and a couple of thirds, strong in Buriram and race 1 in Sepang to bring himself back into contention. Just ran out of steam this weekend.
Yeah, it's been a tough end to the season for Gunmie last year here in Indonesia. He was one of the riders to keep an eye on, so certainly he'll be another name that people will be paying attention to going forward. But right now it's all about Pratama as the race winner and Dinesh as our ATC winner.
Trophy presentations then about to be made to Shinya Ezawa, who takes 3rd position in race 2 of the Indonesian round, and then 2nd place to Hakim Dinesh, but he's already wearing that 2022 Asia Talent Cup winner t-shirt and regalia. So here is your first podium presentation to Shinya Ezawa, the 10th of course, race of the season yesterday, where he was able to get close to the podium but not quite onto it. He's back on the podium here today. Shinya Ezawa, that's his 6th podium in the 11 races that we've had in 2022.
Yeah, super consistent season, always inside the top 6 positions, and he's been rewarded with 2nd in the overall standings, and we look pretty pleased with his podium there.
It is Hakim Dinesh, though, who takes honours here this afternoon. Only made his debut relatively recently in this class. He's not one of the class veterans. Gunmie has got more experience in the category, but it was Hakim Dinesh who has managed to bring it home. It is not to be as far as race victories are concerned. He ends with the 4. 2 of them, though, here in Mandalika earlier on in the season, back in March. That very much put him in pole position as far as claiming this championship is concerned. He saved himself, really, after the fall from race 1 in Sepang by bouncing straight back to his 4th victory of the season. He was also a winner in Buriram. So a few different venues there where Hakim Dinesh has been a race winner. But it's Veda Pratama who is your race winner here this afternoon, representing Indonesia. The national anthem, well and truly well sung, just with the door to the commentary.